Hello everyone, welcome. I'll just start bringing our speakers to the stage. Hey Ray, am I clear?
I can hear you.
Oh good. I'll just bring Okan up as well. Hey Ethan, how are you?
I'm doing great, Antonis. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Good. Um,
Awesome.
I'll get started on. Uh, I'll get started on our introduction to Hypercycle. For those who are listening live or who are going to listen to the recording later, um, and don't know what Hypercycle is or are just starting to learn about Hypercycle. So you can own and operate nodes, and Hypercycle develops the network infrastructure that will help enable the Internet of AI. It's important to distinguish we're not the Internet of AI. That's every AI everywhere, but we are developing a network infrastructure that's going to enable this. And you can set up your node factory. Sorry, I'll just approve one more speaker. You can set up your node factory by buying a node software license. This is represented as a Nifty on Ethereum. You need 1024 HYPC per node, and then you use our DApp and you marry them, and you have your node factory. This is one of the things I'm getting quite a bit lately is new people who say I've got no technical experience, I wouldn't know how to run a node on a PC and whatnot. There is already a hardware provider, so you could run your node in with them as a cloud. They are currently the first one. They're not going to be the only one. That's HyperPG. There's also another great company, Home Portal. They've developed a device, and it's ready to go to run Hypercycle nodes. It's in home, so you purchase it, put it in your home, and you run your node from there, and it's point and click functionality. So for those who are non-technical and sort of want to get involved but are a bit nervous, no, we want everyone to participate in the Internet of AI. That's every human, every AI. We don't want anyone to be excluded from this. Moving on to what Hypercycle does. So what it will enable the AI to do is it enables AI to AI communication. So the AI will gain intelligence. So if you're a developer, a small or medium-sized business, a large enterprise, you can onboard your AI to Hypercycle via the Node Factory, and your AI will gain greater intelligence. The other thing Hypercycle can do is reduce compute costs, and I think every business out there likes to spend less money on costs. For developers, businesses, you can purchase your own node factory and onboard your AI that way. We also have plenty of node factory owners that are willing to sponsor their node factories, and that offers a zero upfront cost solution. And I know that's especially helpful for lots of small and medium-sized businesses and developers out there. And for non-developers who think, well, okay, I don't build AI, I don't know how to build AI, that's fine. You can sponsor your node factory, and developers will build on top of it, which is great. In terms of payments, etc., how that will work, coding, we're interoperable with any code and any blockchain, and payments will most likely start in USDC on chain, but again, we're expecting Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ada and more to come onto the network in the future. And we are currently running what we call C8. Now, normally when a company expands and they grow, they do so for themselves. Hypercycle is expanding to base, and we've got the advanced node factory enclosure. But it's not just us who are going to benefit from this expansion. We want everyone, the early adopters of the node factory, to grow with us. And so if you set up a node factory before the snapshot, before May the 14th, 1 p.m. UTC, you will get an equivalent advanced node factory enclosure on base. And it doesn't end there, because over the next 180 days, there will be software enhancements for this node factory enclosure, and that will allow you to run even more advanced aims on the advanced node factory enclosure. Now, from the existing community, I've had a couple of queries in regards to this. One is, what if somebody tries to game the system? So this is a few people saying, what if someone sets up a node factory with Ethereum, gets the factory on base, and then dismantles the factory on Ethereum? We're running this for our customers, for the people who are committed to Hypercycle, and people who try to game things. They may think they're being smart. It's not going to work like that, because, as I've said, it's over 180 days. We track your eligibility via the script to your Ethereum wallet, where your node factory, primarily the V2 contract, resides. So obviously, if you dismantle that node factory and you no longer have a contract in there, there's no way we can get these software enhancements to your ANFI, and therefore you've only hurt yourself, really. So I don't think that's something that is going to be an issue. But if someone does sort of try to do it that way, it won't really work. And then one of the other concerns is, well, does this mean the Ethereum node factory it is no longer useful? And no, of course not. The Ethereum node factory has all the functionality that we stated it would. The Ethereum network, I mean, you can look at a pie chart. I know it gets a lot of criticism. I've given it criticism myself, but the amount of developers that are on Ethereum is astounding. I think they still make up, they're number one for the amount of developers on the network, and they still make up a hefty amount of that pie chart. And to understand the software that we're putting onto the advanced node factory enclosure on base will obviously be enabled via smart contract functionality. Well, if you don't think people are going to want to develop smart contracts for your node factory on Ethereum, I think you'll be very mistaken. We already have a large list of aims that the Ethereum node factory can run. There will be more aims in the future, and there will be more functionality on that node factory too. So there is no lose in any of this. If you have a node factory set up before May the 14th, 1 p.m. UTC, you win, and you win again. And that's what we're always trying to achieve. And with that being said, Okan, we launched Project C8 11 days ago. How is the node factory setups going?
Yep. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah, you're clear.
Good. Thanks for having me, Antonis. Yes, node factory creation have indeed been explosive over the last couple of weeks. At the moment, as we speak, we sit on more than 77 million HYPC liberated in the node factories, which represents nearly 3.47% of the total supply. And with that, we have more than 4,300 node factories created at the moment. And it's been growing at a rate of nearly 5 to 10% over the last few months. And for those of you that are on the edge about creating node factories or want to just learn more about our ecosystem, please do check out our website, hypercycle.ai, and use the book a call function to book a call directly with myself to run you through the process of purchasing and deploying your node factories onto the Hypercycle network. Thanks, Antonis. Back over to you.
Thank you, Okan. Yeah, you'll also see, I'll share it to here so you can all see it. You can also book a meeting with Okan via the pinned at the top of our X space, at the top of our X account. And it is a bespoke service he offers. He will walk you from beginning to end if you require that. So it is a fantastic service. Now, I've talked about HyperCycle. I do just want to touch upon some other companies in the ecosystem. The first one I want to talk about is as a customer. So I placed a $100 deposit for my home portal Neuron, which was formerly the Hyper AI box. And I received a very interesting email, which excited me a lot, particularly, and I'll read it verbatim if I can just find it. Here we go. It was a live preview of their Neuron AIM ecosystem. We had Eliza OS and Quen 2 in there. Hyper SPO is one that really stood out to me for managing Cardano stake pools with an intuitive GUI. And today we have Raymond, who is a Cardano pool, has a Cardano pool and it goes towards charity. I believe, and apologies if this is wrong, I believe it's for children in Sierra Leone. And I also know that he's put a lot of work into the Hyper SPO AIM. So, Ray, can you just tell us a little bit about that, please?
Yeah, I would love to. Thanks for bringing me up here, Anthony. I really appreciate it. Yeah, for those of you who don't know me, I actually got my start in the blockchain world with crypto. My home has been Cardano. I entered Cardano in May of 2020, and I became a stake pool operator the very first day you could, July 29th, 2020 of that same year. So I've been a stake pool operator since then. My mission at that point, and I'm going to speak to the background a little bit of what this AIM is all about so you understand where I'm coming from and why I think it's important and why I think it's going to be great for people in that ecosystem and also for hyper appliance box owners. So I had a need, right? What I was doing is I was looking at the crypto industry at that time and a lot of fraud, a lot of scams, low confidence. What is this industry going to do for us? Pump dump, a lot of gambling, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I see all these disadvantaged economies at the edges that are really needing help. And I'm like, we're in a wealth creation ecosystem here. We're in an environment where we can push the power that's in the center out to the edge. The question is, how do we do that? How do we develop that technology that enables that and makes that possible? So Grow Pools is the name of my pool in Cardano, is there as a mission to demonstrate the use case of a positive use case, something the crypto industry is doing to push its power out to the edge and serve, in my case, children in Sierra Leone, like you said, Anthony, that's the correct place. We serve 630 children with food to stay in school and other community efforts that those people that I'm helping in Sierra Leone are doing to keep children in school, or in some cases they're in the slums and they're sick and they need medicine, they need food, those kinds of things. So it's a use case to demonstrate what we can do with crypto in general and with the industry that we're in, right? So between that point and now, there are nodes that I have to run as a stake pool operator, right? I have relays that are talking publicly to the network, making sure that everybody's on tip with the next block that comes out every 20 seconds in Cardano's case. And then there's the validator, the actual block producer that's taking all of the transactions at any point in time, putting them into the block, validating them, and then attaching them to the next block, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a number of tools that Cardano stake pool operators need to have in place to manage their nodes, to make sure that they're working, that they're performing, that they're available 24/7, and that they're producing blocks. There's a way to create new nodes, to downgrade nodes, to migrate nodes. There's all these things that you have to do in a network like that. The rewards that I get as a pool operator are coming from the fact that I'm making a block, and every 5 days, the network compensates me in pool rewards for that. And I take 25 to 33% of that and I donate it to those children in Sierra Leone. So between July of 2020 and now, There's one big problem that this AIM is trying to solve, right? We're looking at what problem is the AIM solving, and why is this something that we want for us. The problem that the AIM is solving is a lot of the infrastructure, a lot of the services that are powering Cardano's network are centralized services, right? With Amazon Web Services, Microsoft Azure, DigitalOcean, all those big, large centralized data centers. And at this point, I'm like, okay, look at Hypercycle's network. We have a whole fleet of nodes and node operators out there ready to go. They've got their node factories, they've got their boxes, they're enabled. They have the capacity today to actually deploy these AIMs and start to see revenue. And we're building a marketplace to make that an easier interaction for you, something you can open up on your phone or on a desktop web browser. I'll speak more to that later. But this AIM specifically, the use case that it's addressing, the problem that it's solving is for people like me who are running their nodes in Amazon or Azure or Contabo or any of these other centralized data centers. I can bring that and put it right on my Hyper Appliance box, right on my Hypercycle node, right inside of my node factory, right? I can run that. I'm enabled to do that. Any node factory owner right now on the network, you are a business in of yourself. You have the power to enable these AIMs, to deploy these AIMs, and to start seeing revenue from the network that is paying into them, right? So what this particular AIM does is it presents you with a nice GUI that makes it easier for you to bootstrap a node, to launch a node, to migrate an existing node in, and to watch it, to perform. It even has a crypto wallet associated with it. You can move funds around as necessary. If you're running a full block producer, which you can, you'll have a pledge wallet in there. If you'll be able. So that's what the Cardano AIM does. It takes someone like me who knows the kind of tools stake pool operators want day in and day out. I package them all in a very nice GUI that allows you to interact with your nodes and run your nodes on the Hypercycle network. So that's what that specific Cardano Hyper SPO AIM does, to answer that question.
That's a fantastic answer, and you're doing great work, Raymond, there. Very interesting. Just out of curiosity, I know obviously your pool is a Cardano pool. Could any project do what you're doing if they were running pools on other networks?
Yeah, so when you look at how the Hypercycle software node manager stack operates, right? There's a lot of flexibility in being able to bring in my case, I'm bringing binaries in, I'm bringing certain executables in, I'm actually building and compiling within my specific AIM to get it to function properly. Because I understand how Cardano runs, how it's built, how it compiles, and how it updates itself, I'm able to build the same. When you have an understanding of how your network functions, how it's built, and what the requirements are for that node, you can bring that straight into a Docker file, build up your AIM, attach a payment header to it, which is part of what the node manager is doing, be able to deploy it right off of anything that is deploying these AIMs, the boxes or whatever other infrastructure we have, and bam. If there's a revenue potential, there's now a payment header, there's a way to move money from point A to point B. So if you're on Ethereum, you're on Avalanche, whatever these different networks are, there are specific requirements that the validators and relays of those networks have. As long as those requirements can be met by the underlying hardware that the node stack is running on, that the Hypercycle software is running on, you can run any of those nodes. And you can create any kind of interface to that for yourself if you like, personally, or you can deploy it to a marketplace, attach a royalty to it. And as someone who's building an AIM now, speaking to the developers out there and you guys who are building and stuff, you can attach royalties to these AIMs if you like. And if there's a demand for them and people are running them, you're going to see royalties coming in from this as well. Okay, that's another source of revenue on top of whatever you're charging for compute and running of the AIM. So the answer to that question is yes. That's one of the things I love about Hypercycle's network. It is enabling and making it very easy for us to take a whole host of all these services, language models, elastic search engines, all kinds of cool ELIZA OS agents, Talos, scraping, tilling, all of these things that we're doing in the Internet of AI today can be done with Hypercycle. And Hypercycle's unique approach to optimizing that and making it easy, to me, one of the things that Hypercycle has already done very well is it's making it possible for anybody very easily to participate in the AI compute economy. We know there's a lot of demand in that economy. There's a lot of money flowing through that space. And what we're doing is that we're making it easy for as many people as possible that want to participate to plug and play and see that reward claim button coming back into their wallet. That's part of what we've already built and what we're enabling and what we're expanding on now.
Thanks, Raymond. Two more questions, because there's just so much information there, and it just intrigues me and wants me to delve further. You mentioned as long as the node can run on the underlying hardware. So obviously earlier we were talking about HyperSPO running on the Hyper AI box, but theoretically that means it could any hardware. So providing it meets the spec, you could run it on a Linux, for example.
Right, exactly. So I'm going to speak to that, briefly. Hyper Appliance is another company. It's a separate company from Hypercycle. They are not the same. They work very closely, and a lot of people have believed and been confused by that relationship and partnership in the past. But today, as it stands, Hypercycle and Hyper Appliance are two separate entities or two companies working within this space. Hypercycle is focused on the software and the node manager and the node factories. Hyper Appliance is focused on the actual device, hardware, infrastructure, specifically built, designed, and customized to optimize Hypercycle software. Not the only thing it can do, but it is designed and customized to do that. And there are two separate entities there. So a lot of the testing that we've been doing has been across the board. We have a lot of H1, H2 box owners that have been with us since the beginning. We have AIMs right now that can run on those boxes. We also have a new box called the Home Portal Neuron that we've been developing. We expect that to be coming very soon. It should have been out already. We ran into some things of tariffs and shipping and distributors and all these different things that are slowing us down a bit. But we do expect a launch date here, hopefully within the next 60 days, what I'm seeing. So that particular box will be able to run any number of these AIMs. It has the specs and the resources that you need to be able to run it, including this Cardano AIM. In particular, the Cardano AIM has a 16 gigabyte RAM requirement and a 4 CPU requirement, and then 250 gigabytes of storage requirement, which the H2s can also satisfy. So the H2s that are out there will also be able to run this AIM as well when I port it over to ARM. Right now it's designed for Intel x86 architecture, but we can port that over to ARM without a problem. So I expect H2 and the H3, which we're calling the Neuron, to be able to run any number of these AIMs. So I hope that answers your question.
It does, yeah. Thank you. You did mention a marketplace you're working on as well. Is this a third-party marketplace?
Yeah.
And are you in a position to expand on that, or is that for a future date?
We'll get into that a little bit more in the future. What I will say is there is a marketplace being developed to match the resources that all of our HBox owners have. So they'll be able to enable themselves to participate as a resource providing entity in the marketplace. And the marketplace will also be connected to the AIM registry. So you'll actually be able to match AIMs with compute resources being provided by the Hyper Appliance community. Right, and it's also a place for new AIMs to come in and be published and used, and a place for in the future as we open this up and we go through our hackathons and we have an SDK for the public, there'll be other hardware platforms that can also present and essentially rent their compute to anybody that wants to run the AIMs that we're developing. So yeah, that's what the marketplace is designed to do, and we're making great progress on that. I can't wait to share that with you guys in a future space.
Thank you, Raymond. I could speak to you all day. I'm going to move on. I've had a lot of queries from the community about another company, which is HyperPG, and their HTS offering. And there's two separate queries, and I'll clear up the air on this now. So the first one is, do I need to subscribe to Tilling to qualify for Project C8? And the answer to that is categorically no. Having the Hypercycle node factory is the important thing. That's what you need to have set up before May the 14th to qualify. The subscription to HTS is separate. I know it's part of the wizard and it takes you automatically to that, but that's more for user friendly, because a lot of people got confused when it wasn't like that. So you don't need to. And then the ones who are customers of HyperPG's HTS have asked a few questions over in our Telegram chat about some ongoing issues. Most of it is sort of front-end UI. There is some updates going on in the background as well. So I spoke to the HyperPG team, and they said they're in the process of being, HTS is in the process of being updated. And HyperPG would like to reassure those who are currently subscribed to HTS that they will be rewarded, and any losses incurred will be rectified. And I've actually got, it was beyond more than rectified. I'll just get the full statement. So it's actually undergoing a significant upgrade. They would like to thank and acknowledge the early supporters who have engaged with the system to date. While the current version has its limitations, we have structured plans in place to ensure that any impact value is addressed with the intention of meeting and, where possible, exceeding what was lost. And I do know the team over in HyperPG. They are very good people. So that's for those people who are subscribed to HTS. Rest assured, it is undergoing a significant upgrade, and if you have incurred any loss because of the any issues, that will be rectified. I see Ray's got his hand up. I'll just let him make a comment on this.
Yeah, I'm back there doing the, handling support tickets as well for HTS related issues and things. And, one of the things I seen being a part of this team that I want this community and everybody listening to know, in every single example and case, HyperCycle has gone above and beyond making sure that we take care of you, we don't leave you behind, and we give you options. And this is no exception. That's already being worked on, that's being thought about. HTS has been a painful experience for many people. And there is a lot of improvements happening on the back end to optimize that experience and stabilize that experience, and that's ongoing and happening. I see that myself with my own eyeballs. So it will get better. We appreciate your patience, and we're not going to leave you behind. We're going to take care of you with the issues and the glitches that have been happening on the system. Those will be compensated.
And I will just make one final statement on this, because it's been asked. Those whose nodes, so the ones that were purchased early and are currently tilling, they remain tilling for free. That won't be taken away until everyone has the opportunity to till. I know a lot of people brought nodes that aren't tilling now. They brought them since, I think the last free tilling ones was back in May 2024. And I just tested it today. HTS is currently working. So if you did want to get your node tilling, that is an option to do. And even though there's problems, for the vast majority, it does go smoothly. So if you did want to get your node tilling, you can. And one final iteration, it is not a qualifier for Project C8. Did you want to speak again, Ray, or has your hand just stayed up?
No, that's good. I thought my hand stayed down. Sorry. No, I'm good.
No problem. I'll move on. I wanted to talk, and I think Ethan and Toothy could allude to this. Two of the big things that a lot of people are talking about at the moment is sort of multi-agent and MCP, and all the excitement around that. And there's two sort of things I wanted to impress, and I hope Toothy agrees with me. The first one is, well, I'll let Toothy explain actually. How does HyperCycle benefit these multi-agent systems and MCPs, etc.? And the other one is, I view HyperWire as a sort of flagship for a multi-agent system on HyperCycle. Would you agree with that? Yeah.
Well, I mean, HyperY with 65 million beneficiaries, those are Homo sapiens, walk around town, and that's huge. I mean, I don't know any project that they can actually have 65 million users in this short period of time, and HyperY was able to do that, and it's all built on HyperCycle. And again, this is the start of them. If you were to hear the Secretary General, he's not keeping it for only the YMCA users. He's opening it to the world. So it's a fascinating project that it's super large, and it's extremely beneficial for them and for the entire community of HyperCycle. So that's I don't know if I should call it the flagship, just to be respectful for all the other projects, because it is not the size that makes a project flagship. I think there's a lot of efforts that went on into a lot of different projects, big or small. I think the aggregate amount of projects that are out there, and the ones that people don't know that there will we do the usual, where we work on a lot of things, and we announce them when it's when they're a little bit more baked. So it would be great if, when those moments come, and you'll be able to see for yourself what I mean by that. So that's on that front. Now, to answer the first question, what does HyperCycle do to the multi-agent system and to the Internet of AI? I mean, we there is none of the existing players in the Internet of AI do not give us the credit that we started this initiative into the entire world. In fact, they are welcoming us to work with them very closely, and we will have a lot of announcements coming soon in that regard. And we're extremely delighted to work with them and many others that they were to step into that space. We have this we're trying to be very welcoming and open arms to a lot of projects that are coming into this space, as opposed to viewing them as there's a lot of small projects here and there. They're doing Internet of AI, and those are complementary to what we're doing, and it's great to see the synergy between us and them. We don't view them as a competition. We view them as complementary. And even if, let me tell you this, even if someone, let's say with the name Adam Robinson, that launches the just joking, giving that name, but if he decides to launch something identical to HyperCycle at some point, if he does it right, he's able to maximize on his benefits, but at the same time, it adds a lot of value to all the node owners, because of the network effect, that there's more and more nodes that they are accessible. So it's a unique situation to be in right here, right now, that we are entering into a space that did not exist, a market did not exist. The Internet of AI, it's not something that existed before we gave it that name. And folks that remember at the AGI summit, that's what I did tell folks. I said, unless the Internet of AI would win the battle, as opposed to one single entity. Yeah, and I think some people, that even sent me some videos of me like 6 or 7 years ago talking about the Internet of AI, that we would the world would see it by 2030, and right now I think we're seeing it in 2025, which is a lot faster. So I expect people to see things that they're coming a lot faster when we hit that inflection point, and when it comes to specifically answering your question of what does it do to MCP and to A2A from Google, or Nanda from the MIT. I'm not sure if folks are familiar with that as well. There's one missing ingredient in all of these projects that they're giving us the floor to cover that ingredient. And when I finish telling you that ingredient, this is an ingredient that they have identified, and they have given credit to Hypercycle to cover that. But there's another one that node owners know, while the vast majority they don't know. Let's cover the first one first. The first one is solving the dilemma of having agent A trying to subcontract agent B, or simply contract agent B in a sub-second. And while agent A and B, they are strangers to each other. That's what Hypercycle solves. None of these projects, they claim that they have solved this. They give us the floor for that, which is great. So any node factory owner, they produce nodes. Those nodes that you produce, they have those capabilities that everyone wants to have, but they don't. So again, to be very specific, we as a company, Hypercycle, we do not produce nodes. We produce node factories. And as you know, there are over 4,000 owners of node factories, but we try to keep it saying it's 1,000, because we'd rather under promise and over deliver. In the eyes of the world, we say it's like, okay, it's like we have over 1,000 in our community that they are node factory owners. So those node factory owners, they produce nodes, and when you produce those nodes, those are needed to enable that peer-to-peer without having nodes knowing each other. And that is analogous to the internet that we know it today, as opposed to the intranet. All of these projects, they facilitate, they do very good job for what we call intranet. Like intranet is effectively like if you were to look inside any large corporations or government or whatnot, they have something similar to the internet, but it's only available for their employees. Because they know each other and trust each other, they're able to have that capability for them to collaborate between each other. But if you want to have someone from Deloitte or McKinsey or whatnot to have access to the internet, you need to make sure that they have secure access. Otherwise, they could be opening up their company to all kind of issues. So they go and request access to the internet from internet service provider, and that's what happened, in the 90s. And now node owners, they're analogous to the internet service providers, so they can provide nodes to any AI that is out there in order for it to be part of that internet of AI. And
Hey,
folks, they
two.
remember Mark Zuckerberg in January when he said there are going to be millions and billions of AI agents. He's absolutely right. And there is no centralized system anywhere on this planet that can actually handle that component. And that's why we take real pride in this bringing this technology to the world. Enabling it peer-to-peer can have the benefits of scalability and efficiency and so on and so forth. Sorry, you said you jumped in, but if you want, I can cover the number two, because I did not cover it.
No, I just wanted to say really quick, Tufi. If I'm not mistaken, one of the issues with these centralized entities like Google's agent space, right, this new A to A play, is eventually they tend to kind of abuse their power, right? I can see a scenario in the future where there's some AI model out there, and Google says no, that AI model cannot join our agent space. Whereas when you have something like Hypercycle, right, anybody could slap that restricted model on their nodes, or a banned model from whatever Meta's space or
I
Google
don't see
space.
that as a benefit. This is like very minute. Any node owner, you can block any other nodes if you don't want to talk to them, if you think they're bad or whatnot. So we're I mean, it's beneficial in the sense that if someone is doing something great, but Google, they feel that they're competition, they don't want them, they can block them or whatnot. But here it's an open internet. But I would not make that comparison because this isn't the main benefit. We feel like Google, they've been playing phenomenally nice and great with us. And I think it's like, um, if you are a node on the Internet of AI using HyperCycle and you plug it to any AI, that AI becomes available to the rest of the world and it's unstoppable. That's very powerful. Now, it is unstoppable, but that doesn't mean that it forces itself on other agents to be used because maybe it is malicious or what. So we're going to allow unstoppable compute to exist there. Maybe it is bad for humanity, so it doesn't force itself, it just makes itself available. And there's a lot of methods that each and every node that exists in the network can choose to utilize that compute. So it's kind of like you have um, neurons in the brain, and then they're accessible by the entire brain as opposed to being siloed to one specific location. So the point that I'm trying to make here is that Google is facilitating tremendously the language that they've used and getting those nodes to talk to each other. It is almost identical to the one that we use in HyperCycle, which is phenomenal because it's having folks like Google to follow steps that we have defined to the world. This is a very, very good thing. And they did not step into the territory that we do that no one else does. They left it for us, which is also indicates a very good sport in how they're trying to get in. So they want to perhaps be the main enablers for intranet. We continue to be the number one enabler for the internet. So that's what I think it's extremely important, because otherwise we can get in situations where people, they see some of the benefits that you have presented, but some others, they can have some scenarios in showing some dystopian future going in that direction. So and this isn't what we enable. In fact, the network cleans itself a lot faster and a lot better than any centralized entity is capable of doing. And the point that I'm making, saying that Mark Zuckerberg is right, saying there's millions and billions of nodes. It's not possible for any one entity in the world to be the clearinghouse for all of those nodes of how they interact with each other, even if they have the biggest compute in the entire world sitting in Nebraska or in Japan or wherever it's sitting. The laws of physics prohibit the actual agents to you rely on this and still achieve the finality as fast as they could on a peer-to-peer. So I think by relying on the laws of physics is a lot better consensus than having a human defined consensus that anyone can change it, having different consensus. And that's why I said if there's a competition at some point in the future, and I know of many, they're trying to build competition. If they do it right, well, they don't do it right, who cares? They're just going to have like a mediocre product. But if they do it right, it would become an extension to this internet that we're all building together. It is, it makes a lot of sense to be part of the internet that exists, to have your nodes having access to. We have sold 600,000 node factories. If by now it's actually, I think it's actually 640,000. And if we all die, we stop doing everything, and then those node factories, they produce 1,024 nodes each. That's about 650 million nodes that they exist. So no matter how big or small any project that gets done in the future, they would have a natural evolution that to connect and communicate to those nodes instead of um, ignoring them. So that's what we're pushing really hard to make sure that the node owners, they have a piece of that pie, that we're creating this pie, so might as well have a piece of that pie. You earn it, and we want to make sure that folks are able to partake in that wealth creation and not be ignored. So there's a lot of methods that we do to ensure that this outcome to the best of our capability.
Thank you, Tufi. Cruising on Crypto, I saw you put your hand up. I will give you a chance to ask your question. I have had one question coming quite a bit for Tufi, and this is people asking, what will the price of an ANFI be at the end of C8? Which I've given them the answer, we don't have a price yet for it. And then they've sort of gone on to ask, how will that price be determined?
The last time we did the internal calculations here, and we're employing a couple auditors to do financial auditors, to external third-party auditors to kind of give the valuation. The fully loaded one, it's anywhere between, so far, all the experts that they came to me and telling me that it's between $5,000 to $23,000, the fully loaded, the ANFI. And that's really good that we're doing it in such a way that the metaphor that you used last time, Anthony, is that it's like if Microsoft is telling its clients, you've got Windows 95, but we're releasing Windows XP, which is 5 times more expensive than Windows 95. But guess what? If you had Windows 95, we're just going to give you the upgrade. You're not going to have to pay for it. So you still have Windows 95. And now you have also Windows XP. You can install it on another machine or whatnot. And that metaphor is quite nice, because that's what we are doing. Any node factory owner that they are in this period that we're living and breathing right now. And I think there's about 29 more days in that. Oh, is it? No, 21 more days. Oh no, wait, 20 days, exactly 20 more days left on that cutoff, which is when the script looks into all the node factories that they exist, and it goes and it drops an ANFI on that same address on a base, which is gives the option for any node owner to own and manage that new asset. They don't have to. It gives them the option, and it's a great thing that folks, they will have access to it. Now, at the same time, it's important to know that the components that make this ANFI worth a lot more than it is today. They're components that they are plugged in a way that you have you're running a business, that you're growing the business to have, let's say, 1024 nodes at some point, which also means it eliminates that question that many people, they think it's like, oh, look at these hypercycle, they're doing this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna like buy like some now, and then when they release this, I'm gonna go and sell it for $5,000. it's the price that we will be selling it, if that's what the price is, maybe 2,000, maybe 5,000. So far, we will maybe 23,000. This is our retail price that is going to be when we are selling those node factories. Uh, but does that mean that if somebody gets that free, it's like, imagine like you tell Microsoft, hey, I have Windows 98, give me XP, and when you give me XP that it's like 5 times more, I'm gonna go and like sell it somewhere. No, it doesn't work like that. They cannot tie it into the 98 and say it's like, we're giving it to you so you can benefit from it. We'll be selling it for $5,000, but you don't have to pay the $5,000. You're gonna get it. So to in the last X space that we've had, you did ask me that question, and I did say that folks shouldn't uh, try to game these things. I mean, we've kind of thought them through, but right now I gave you a little bit more a detailed answer to that, to be more upfront with folks. What they are uh, getting is something that they could utilize and grow and do all kind of cool stuff with it. Um, the reason why the evaluators, the third-party evaluators, they look at that node factory and say this is worth $5,000 to $23,000, because they truly view it as, imagine that's a startup that you have, that some of the tools to get that startup off the ground and build the thing with it. What would that startup be worth the moment you launch it, if it has the capability to produce 1024 nodes over the course of 5 years to 7 years or whatnot, depending on how well you do it? So they come in and say, well, it seems like if you have 1024 nodes running, if you have an average of $10 per node per month, then you have $1 million business. If you have it $3 per month per node, then you have $300,000 business. All of these things are extremely uh, powerful, and folks would rather own a business that is worth $300,000 rather than having uh, a dream of an arbitrage of like a $5,000 that they can game with some system or whatnot. So that's now, when you have a business that is capable of doing this stuff, can you put it in the pool that Anthony built or like some node operator built and saying it's like, hey, I can okay, may I borrow your node and I'll give you every year, let's say $200 or $500, something like that? Sure, you could do that. And I think if folks, they build those in smart contracts and they're audited, we will likely vouch for them. But if the smart contract is not audited, we'll probably just not say anything, because people, they can do whatever they want to do. But it's better if we don't vouch to certain proposals that they are, if they're not audited, it's risky, right? So if it's audited, so they put smart contract there. They're saying, here's a smart contract. If you put your node with me, I'm gonna pay you 200 USDC per year. And if I fail to pay you, then you can take back everything that I've built from here on. I think, or $500, whatever that proposal is. But even if it is $200, if you think about it, that's like $200 every year on that. So some people might find that to be attractive, but most people, that they think a little bit further, if this is attractive, then what am I missing? Like, what's the opportunity cost? Like, what about the node operators? Are they making a lot more money? And if the answer is yes, well, I mean, part of it is good for them. If it's good for you, good for them, whatever. But some people, they feel like, well, maybe I also want to be a node operator. You see what I mean? So I think the economy ends up like balancing itself. All in all, they're all methods to ensure that that we're not building one Microsoft that can sell software and we're the only ones that's selling. Each and every node factory, they produce nodes, and those nodes, they're pluggable into any AI. They can produce revenue, do all kind of stuff. So it's like every node factory produce nodes. They're making the software that it is available to the world, and not us. We don't make. We have to spend the exact same effort to make nodes as any node factory owner. So it's not like we don't get any special treatment. There's no pre-mint on that. If you were to, if you want to follow some certain terminology that people they're familiar with, Bitcoin, for example. Imagine Bitcoin comes in and says like, uh, yo, Holmes, you can go and spend all kind of electricity to kind of mint those Bitcoins, but I can go and mint Bitcoins out of thin air or whatnot. Like it doesn't work like that. You know, it's everybody gets treated equally. Um, yeah, so there's a lot of reasons for everything that we're doing. If anyone asks, we're happy to tell, but perhaps I will use that as a segue to tell you about the second part that the Google of the world, they don't know. MIT, you'd be surprised. Some people in MIT didn't use that, which is really good. I mean, I was in MIT last week, and we might be doing some great work with these guys. In fact, they had researcher there had asked me if I were to contribute, and we would be delighted to, on Nanda, the Nanda protocol, which is covering the aspects that Google is not doing and RCP is not doing, and we would prefer some universities doing it. So they're doing the stuff which is amazing. It's like if you were to plan for it, it wouldn't happen that way, but it did. Like the timing could have been more perfect. So what I'm going to say next is the part of how you enable anyone on the planet to partake in that wealth creation. And it goes down to one necessary aspect, which is the independence that they can do peer-to-peer. They do not depend on any third party. That capability is what enables any node factory when they're producing nodes. Remember, a node factory producing nodes, they do not depend on a hypercycle or any third party to go and say like, oh yeah, like I produce those nodes. Can you please let me release them or whatnot? No, you do that all autonomously. Okay, this is unprecedented. It's like you have self-replicating machine. In fact, for those that they don't know what the word hypercycle means, look it up in chemistry, and then this is like precisely what we're doing, but for software. So that self-replicating organism in chemistry here is self-replicating uh, product, the software, and that's what gives it the ability to amass as much resources and reputation and connections and know-how before it is able to produce those nodes. So that capability enables you to go anywhere on the planet and say, I have a business that is worth $5,000 and I need to go and fund this business and grow it and make it $1 million business. Or you say you have 1,000 of them, great, and you have a business that is worth $5 million. You want to grow it to be $1 billion business. It's even like better. It's like it's proportional, right? So that's basically what we were extremely proud of bringing into the world, and this is like the second part that they don't know. But that's good. They don't know, you know, and when you know something about the future that the rest of the world don't know, then it's an opportunity for you to utilize what you know to monetize on it, and that's what's happening right now. Now, I mean, it's built in a certain way that the more you tell the world about it, the better it is, because you already own some. But if you didn't own any, like imagine you didn't own any node factory whatsoever, and you go and tell everyone and their mothers about node factory how important it is. So what? You wait until it's worth like 23,000 to then go and buy it. then it's from game theory perspective, it doesn't really work well to your benefit that way, right? So it works in your benefit if you're an owner of Node Factory to spread the word, because of that, the more the better. So that's the second part that I wanted to make sure that every Node Factory owner knows about the power of what they've got with them.
Thank you, Tufi. I'm going to let Cruising on Crypto ask a question because they've been waiting a little while. And of course, if anyone else has any questions, put your hand up now and I'll get you on the stage. Do you want to go ahead, Cruising on Crypto?
All right, thank you very much. Hey, Tufi. Hey, everyone. Two questions. My first one is about node operators. So, as a node operator, from the node operations management perspective, which I'm hoping to achieve, uh, is there going to be a concept of a dashboard for aims so that we would know as operators from a particular region which aims are the most popular in use right now or have had the most requests so that we can manage nodes by popular aims within that region and or anticipate regions at across the globe at night that might need something for a particular aim, and we can have that loaded and available. That's my first question.
I can speak to that one. I don't know if anyone else has anything to say. Can you guys hear me okay?
Because I
Yeah,
think that
Yeah, we hear
question
you, Ray.
is in particular to the is that question in particular to the hyper appliance?
No, it's not particular to hyperappliance, but it's asking a general question of, will node operators at some point have a dashboard that gives them visibility on the popularity of a name, where it is, where it is located,
Right,
where it's running, what its costs are, and all that kind of stuff. So I have an
right,
answer.
right.
I
So,
don't know if you have
please
something.
go ahead with the answer, and then I can add afterwards.
Okay, yeah. So that speaks to the marketplace that I mentioned earlier. Honestly, that's one of my primary ambitions. One of the challenges that I've seen so far is, okay, we're developing all these aims, but what are their revenue streams and what can node operators realistically expect? So what the marketplace does is it starts to create metrics. It starts to populate usage. Where are these things coming from? What are they worth? Who's making how much? And that's where you start to answer that question, Cruz, on crypto. I hope that that's a quick answer for you. Yes, we are focused on building that specific dashboard because I really, at the end of the day, too, the other thing we have to remember, not all aims can run on all hardware. Some are more aggressive, like the language models, for example. They want a lot more compute than some of the smaller ones, like a scraping aim or a chilling aim. So we have to know, okay, what is that aim making, and can I run it, right? Or what do I need to be able to run it? And the only way you can really answer that question is, A, what is the revenue of the aim? And B, what is the usage and what are the bottlenecks? And that's what the dashboard gives you. It gives you that information and it'll let us build a nice matrix of what to expect as a node operator, what kind of hardware requirements you're going to need, and what kind of node factories you're going to need to have under your belt as well to be able to manage those aims.
that's perfect.
So in a nutshell, it's pretty much open to anybody in the community that wants to develop this heat map, right,
Yeah,
Ray?
in a lot of ways, that's one of the cool things about an ecosystem like this. It's decentralized, just open sourced. So anybody can get together and say, "Oh, I want to create it. Yeah, I'd like to contribute." You can either jump into an existing software working group and say, "Hey, I'd like to build that piece of the dashboard. I have some skills, some background in this. I'd like to contribute. How do I do that?" That's one thing. Or you can just step forward and say, "I'm just going to do the whole thing myself. Market it, deliver it. Here you go. What are my APIs? What do I need to talk to? Basic information you can get from us, and bang, you go for it." It's one of the things about this space. We're welcoming that kind of collaboration and that kind of expansion because we do have a lot of node factory owners out there, right? We have a lot of potential, and there's a lot of demand for what we're able to do. So what these marketplaces and these innovations are doing is matching demand with what we can provide. So those dashboards are definitely directly a part of that.
That's perfect. Follow-up question is, with the C8 and the educational credits, how many credits or what would it take? What level would it be for a node operator? Is it, I mean, I have a fair quantity of uh, node factories, but I don't know if I'm at the level that I would get that education there.
Right. I think the details on the education program await Robert's the department, but at the same time, I can tell you that the there are four different education programs. That's why I think the name changed from 99.9 to 88.88, which is basically the 8 minutes, the 8 hours, the 8 days, and the 8 weeks. So what I envision is that if you have a master node, you could certainly get like the 8 weeks, and if you want to pass it on and that to someone who wants to become an operator, then you could do that. You don't have to do it yourself. And if someone wants to purchase it, it's likely to be a bit expensive because those all the money goes to the educators. But the educators, when you get top-notch educators, they cost, and effectively they like it's not, we don't make any money from that program. So that's something that to keep in mind, that having those credits, you can pass it on to anyone you choose. You don't have to do it yourself. In fact, we have distinguished between node owner and a node operator on purpose, because sometimes people, they may want to be as a node owner, just like have a general view of your nodes and all of these things, like the dashboard that Ray was talking about. But a node operator may want to integrate some fancier tools, like might be like a developer that wants to have let's say you have a master node, that means they have 512 services. They may want to have in each and every one of those services like some load balancer that keeps swapping between what AI runs on them at any given time. There's so many ideas that we hear from people that they want to do on those. And in fact, there are going to be a lot of partnership that we're doing with folks that provide fellowship and scholarships, that they can also come in and partake in this space, and in ventures that they, so somebody gets a certain investment into their company, that they feel like, when like we're literally, the offers that I'm getting right now is certain investors that they would come and say like, hey, if you were to invest X into some company, do you provide an equivalent amount of node factories into that, because we want to make sure that folks they utilize them or whatnot. So I think it's good when they're asking for node factories for us, but if they ask for strictly for nodes, then it would be good for node owners. So yeah, so the short answer is like, absolutely yes, you can transfer to anyone you want, but but the long answer is effectively depends on which course, and if you have a single node, for example, and you get, let's say, like the 8 minutes, or was it like 8 minutes? Yeah, 8 minutes, 8 hours, 8 days, and 8 weeks. So the 8 minutes, then 8 minutes is sufficient to do like just enough stuff so you can have some revenue generations and so on and so forth. But I think as we evolve as a community, there will be a necessity to have folks share with each other like best practice and things like that. So I think someone who takes the 8 minutes might feel like they want to learn more from the community, they can. If they want to spend the money and learn the 8 hours, perhaps it's a choice that they make. But if they have like a little bit more nodes, they might be able to get the 8 hours for free. So the details, again, it's when Robert is done with those, we'll get them. But I can tell you right now, the minimum, if you have a single node, you get one. If you have a master node, you get the big one, the biggest one. The in between is to be decided by Robert, and how he can get educators that they are going to give part of their education to be like subsidized to, so then folks that they have the nodes that they have a ticket that they can utilize it for education.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just one
Sure.
last follow-up, if I may.
Please.
You may.
Thank you. With the HTS or the tilling system being revamped and reprogrammed or updated, is that going to allow disengagement from the ETH node factory if someone wanted to switch from a tiller from their node factory to their new base node factory, the Amphi?
Oh, I think it's from tilling perspective, if I were to have only $5 a month and I have to choose which one am I going to choose, am I going to be doing tilling on A versus B? I don't have the luxury to choose both. Is that your question?
No, my question is, I bought a 2-year for, I have over 150 node factories.
Right.
And so I bought 2-year tilling for all of them.
Right.
And so, which gives you 2 years free. So with the Anphis, and they're going to inherit that that score, I was considering moving some of them for the larger node factories, moving my tiller to the new Amphi ones, and purchase a new smaller tiller for my Ethereum one.
Huh. Okay.
So I
Go ahead.
I spoke recently with Robert and Dan, part of our team. I don't do anything yet. Just leave it as is. There'll be all the answers to your questions when the time comes, and you'll be very happy with the outcome. Unfortunately, that's all I can say. Otherwise, they'll probably never let me sit in their meeting again. But yeah, for now, just leave things as they are. You've got your node factories on Ethereum, which is fantastic. So you're fully participating in C8. They're tilling, which is great. So you've done everything correct, and you will have all the information you need to make that decision when you need it, if that makes sense. And you'll be very happy with the outcome that they've developed for you. They're currently working very hard in the background to make sure no stone is left unturned.
Excellent. And 2P, I'm still gathering that information for that potential aim. So I'm working on it. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, this is great. I'm glad you are. And I want to say something that what Anthony just mentioned to you right now, I did not know that. So thank you, Anthony. I would like this information myself. Just as a refresher to everyone, the tilling as a service, it is not something that I have authorized. We don't do this as HyperCycle. I don't want to ever do this. It is the HyperPG that's doing it, and any one of you who wants to provide tilling as a service, you by all means you're welcome to. You can do it, but I wouldn't want us to ever be doing that, because this is I don't want us to ever compete with our customers, and there's a lot of possibilities that folks like AWS, they might become our customers, so we should not enter that space. So that's the clarification of why we don't do the tilling as a service in HyperPG, and others they do it. And I am curious to find out what the solution that Anthony is going to tell you, but I can tell you that while we're working on the Amphi that it's going to be sold. So somebody, some stranger who's never heard of HyperCycle, and on September 15th, they feel like, hey, I hear about this. I want to buy like a node factory, and I hear it's $5,000, but it's like peanuts, $5,000, and I can grow a business, be like $5 million or $1 million, whatnot. I'm in. I want to go and do it. And if that event happens, or the alternative event is that like somebody saying is like, I can borrow $5,000 factory because I don't have any money, but I can ask folks if they can sponsor me to do the 8 hours or 8 days or whatnot, and you'll be able to sponsor. I mean, you have 150 factories, you're gonna be able to sponsor stranger. Be like, John Smith, I don't know you, but I like your profile and I'm going to sponsor you. In return, I want you to give me a great discount or most favored nation clause into managing my nodes or whatnot. There's a lot of stuff that can be done like that, right? So
Gotcha.
in that event, if you think about it, that this is all good, but from us, from Hypercycle perspective, when we get the valuation from folks and they come back and saying it's like, Tufi, this is going to be $2,000 fully loaded. Okay, great. We sell for $2,000. If they come back and saying it's like, you're looking at a minimum of 5,000, it could be 23,000. This is what the experts are telling me. And if that's what they come and tell me, and we put the list price to be $5,000, we're looking seriously to have it for someone who's coming in buying it for $5,000 to have something like, say it's 5,000 and $100, or adding something in ahead of time, so then the first 12 months of tilling is covered, so you buy it and you've got the tilling going. And so we're looking seriously into that, and we will probably be buying it from folks like HyperPG or AWS or Hyper Appliance, or from anyone who would be giving us a good deal. But that's my exposure to the tilling as a service.
And it's funny you mentioned Hyper Appliance. I know that I believe someone's on the call from there. How many nodes could a neuron be used for tilling if you wanted to set up tilling as a service from a neuron?
When you say a neuron, you
From
mean,
the Hyper Appliance neuron box,
oh,
the
the
H.
Hyper Appliance. I
Yeah, but it's
don't know. I honestly, like, I'm super. You've known me for quite some time, and I'm super bullish on the stuff that I know, and I say it super loud. But this question, I don't know the answer to it. So
I
I
can
think
help
it
with
I
that
depends on
thought
the
one.
box. It depends on the box, I guess.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
help with that. So
thank
it's a great question and really good questions, Kuzan Crypto. I really appreciate all of your questions and your investment too in this community and ecosystem, man. It's great. What I want to encourage you to do, this is really for me, you can do it for yourself, is if you want, open up a ticket and ask those questions in there, specifically the questions about, how subscription is going to work between where they are now and where they will be on base. So that'll help me track that and get that routed to the right team and get a good answer for you. And then as far as the neuron goes, the answer to that question, funny enough, is kind of banking on the answer to your previous question, which is the dashboard and how the aims are running and how we're seeing their utilization and their revenue and how we're matching them. Once we have information about what aims are asking for in terms of compute and hardware resources, we'll be better positioned to answer the question as to how many of the individual aims you can run on a single box, right? Because some of
right.
the larger language models, they're very aggressive. And so that's one aim for the box, okay? They want a lot of power. They're going to suck everything they can get and more. Then you've got the tiller guys that can do, you can run a large number of those aims on these boxes. And some of the smaller aims have smaller hardware requirements, so you can run more of those. But there's some testing that still has to be done. And there's also that matrix that will build itself on the dashboard as we start to see more volume accumulate in that space. And but that'll be able to tell you better how many of any individual aim can run based on what it's asking for in hardware requirements.
Yeah, my thought was to use one neuron box just for tilling and then outsource that for to help pay for it.
Yeah, so right now there's two things to keep in mind. You can attach one node factory for yourself to the box, and you can till
Oh,
that yourself. That one node factory doesn't need to be on HTS. I'm still, and it's a question that I actually have also for the team that's developing that. How many other node factories? Because the box will be capable of running tilling for other node factories, right? And
Perfect.
quite a number of them, actually. The tilling service itself is very low key, very low demand. So my guess is quite a few, but I'm not sure in how that attachment's going to happen and how they'll be assigned and deployed exactly yet. So that's another question I want to ask the backend team. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries. Looking forward to all the growth and the excitement that this is all bringing. So thanks, everyone.
Yeah, likewise.
Thanks so much. Thank you, and thanks for all
I
the
think
people that are tuning in here. I appreciate each and every one of you. This is what makes us grow is the community and not only the technology. This is something that um, you would be surprised that even if you get the top engineers from Google or Microsoft or Meta, again, not all of them, but many top engineers, they do not understand that concept that first Bitcoin brought into the world. And you all know that Bitcoin is not a technology on its own, it's technology in a community. The technology, you can copy it anybody. You can just actually copy the entire Bitcoin for free. You can have like, call BTC2, but so what? It's not worth anything. It's the combination of community and technology that makes it worth what it is today. And so I thank each and every one of you. You need to know that why we're working days and nights for the node owners. It's because we owe it to you all, and we will continue doing everything we can to maximize the benefits for the node owners. So thanks once again, and looking forward more successful journey and more news to share very soon. We're always working on many things, and the ones that they make it, we announce it to the world. So thank you.
yeah, thanks so much, Tufi. I do have a couple of questions. That one came in from the Telegram and one from the Discord. They are for they have gone to the relevant people to answer. So Troy in Telegram, your question has gone to Robert, who is the best one to answer for that. And I can't remember the username of the one in Discord. That was one about node factories and hyperappliance. That was another one, and that's gone to that team. So they will be answered, just not on this space. And just one final reminder before we sign off. Project C8, May the 14th, 1 p.m. UTC is the snapshot. Set up a node factory and you'll gain full participation into C8 over the 180 days. So yeah, you've been doing a fantastic job setting up node factories. And to anyone who is new, I don't know if I did say this at the beginning, but there is a guide on our article section, the hyper guide, which will show you how to set up a node factory step by step. So do make sure to read it and the details. And if you do have any questions, or if you think you need that little bit of extra help, do remember Okan's available via his Calendly, and that's pinned at the top of the X account, so you can book a meeting with him and he will give you a bespoke onboarding service. It's also on the hypercycle.ai website. If you scroll down to the bottom, all the information is there.
I want to say
so
special kudos to you, Anthony, and to Okan, and to Ray, and to Mauricio, and to to Jerry, to Evan, and for a lot of you that tuned in here, and those that didn't tune in, because you've been doing phenomenal work, and I witness the work in the background, although sometimes I may not have the ability to ping you and congratulate you, but I'm always watching. So keep up the good work. We're up to something that is phenomenal. We're shaping the future. I mean, we're getting the Google of the world to follow our steps. So it is phenomenal to be leading this hypercycle and being a part of this community. So thanks each and every one of you that joined this, and kudos.
You're welcome, Tufi. It's a fantastic place to be, and it's really exciting days ahead. The next HypeSpace, May the 9th, Friday, May the 9th, 8 p.m. UTC. I hope to see you all there. Have a great evening, everybody, and take care.
Okay,
Thank
guys.
you,
Ciao.
everyone, for speaking and listening.